All right, so you're trying to pick up mandolin. Now, for the first year and a half of playing, roughly, uh, this is pretty much all the music theory that I needed, pretty much. Now, I've picked up extra stuff. I know extra stuff. I know other stuff. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't learn other things, but you can easily get by and play whatever you want, pick up other people's songs, play them by ear, all that kind of thing, just with this. Now, we're going to start with scales. Your mandolin is tuned G, D, A, E from the top down, from the lowest string, the G, to the highest string. Now, usually we would say that the top string is actually the lowest one to the ground, the E string. This is because it's the highest note, so it's at the top. But also, it's physically the lowest one down. So, I don't know, call it whatever the fuck you want. Either way, we're going to start with scales. Now, I'm going to use A as an example because it's easy and it's personally my favorite. So for A, you basically start on the A string. That's the one just up from the E string. It's the one, if you look at your mandolin head on like this, it's the one to your right. I don't know if the camera is flipping this, but it's this string, which makes that noise. Also, yes, it has 8 strings. Yes, you're playing 2 strings at a time here, so it's technically not the A string singular, but we treat a mandolin as if it only has 4 strings. Now, if you don't know what an octave is, because you're going to need to know what an octave is, it's basically a set of 12 notes. So if we start at A here, and then we start counting up, you'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then that's A again. So after you count up 12, you get another A. But as you can obviously see, that's a hell of a lot higher than that. They're both A, but that is A up 1 octave. So A, also A, but it's up 1 octave. That's why when you see an octave mandolin, it plays the same notes, but down 1 octave. Now, if we're all clear on that, then let's get into it. We're going to start with an A major scale. And scales are essentially just a set of notes that sound good together. The two that I'm going to teach you today, and most of the ones that I know, have 7 notes in them. And then another note on top of that. Now, a mandolin is tuned in fifths. I'll explain that other note. We'll get to that in a sec. Don't worry about it. But for now, all you need to know basically has 7 notes, but you'll be playing 8 notes. So, a mandolin is tuned in fifths, which means halfway through your scale, you can swap to the next string up. For example, in an A major scale, you'll get 1 on the open string, because you have to remember to count the open string. I do forget that sometimes. Okay, the open string counts as one of the 7 notes. Try to keep that in mind. So 1, 2, 3. We're doing minor, I guess, not major. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now either I can go from the 5th here up to the 7th. That's a possibility. You're allowed to do that. Or you can just go up to the next string, which is a hell of a lot easier. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's the 5th, you see? So the 5th is up 1 string. And the same thing. So you've got A here on this open string, but if you press down here, then you're fretting the note on the 2nd fret. That's what these wires here are called. These things that like separate the little notes. That's what they're called, frets. So if you fret the note on the 2nd fret right here, then you're starting on B. Now we could go B, fucking C sharp, D, whatever, and start counting up and go, and so on and so forth. And if we did, you would find that the 5th note in the scale was now on the next string up, but it was going to be the 2nd fret. And this will work for all notes. So for example here, the C, which is right here, 3rd fret up on the A string, that's C. The 5th note in a C scale is G. So if you come up by 1/5, there you go. There's G on the E string. Everything's good, right? Now, basically what scales are they are mathematical formulae. What this means is, I know it's a big word, and I know a lot of you won't like maths. I hate maths. Trust me, I hate it. But bear with me. Basically, what scales are is they're formulas. Formulae for they're formulas. So what you're going to do is, for an A scale, which is a scale named after the A note, because the A is the root note. It's the one that you start on. So whichever one you start on, the scale will be named after that. So you can start on A, and that will be an A scale. And then depending on where you go from there, it might be an A major scale, it might be an A minor scale, it might be an A diminished scale. I honestly don't know what an A diminished scale is. That might not be a thing. Don't forget that, actually. I don't know what diminished means. Anyway, it'll be an A scale if you start on A. It can be an A sharp scale if you start on A sharp. It can be a B scale if you start on B, and so on and so forth. So for an A scale, we're going to start on A. There's the A open string. And from there, depending on whether it's major or minor, you will count up in a different way. There's 12 notes in an octave, but you have to pick and choose 7 of them. Now, for a major scale, the formula is 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. So you start on A, and then you count up 2, 1, 2, and then you count up 2, 1, 2, and then you count up 1, 1. So, we've just gone, and you see, that's kind of sounding nice. It sounds a little bit nicer, a little bit smoother than, which doesn't sound bad, but it takes a while, you know? That's the first little part. Now, that's 2, 2, 1, as you can see. We've counted up 2, and then counted up 2, and then we've counted up 1. And now we have to count 2, 2, 2, 1. But remember what I said earlier. If you jump from the 5th fret to the 7th, that's 2. But if you jump from the 5th fret to the next string, that's also 2. So it's 2, 2, 1, 2. That's the next string up. 2, 2, 1. So it's completely symmetrical. You see? That's why you love major scales, because they're symmetrical. So you've got... Sorry. There we go. So, basically, all you have to remember is only use these 3 frets. Number 2, number 4, and number 5. And then you'll get a major scale. Now, you may notice, if you're very, very savvy, I said earlier that there was 7 notes in a scale, but there's 8 notes that I'm playing there. Well, that's because, as I was saying, that's A, but up an octave. So you play the root note on either side. You play the A, and then you do your scale. Sorry. And then you play your scale. And then you play A again, but up an octave. And they kind of just sandwich the scale, basically. And you can use both of them in it. So, like, I'll give you an example later on, because I don't know many songs in A major. Anyway, for an A minor scale, or for any minor scale, because you see, this works on everything. So for a major scale, sorry, going back to major scales, that's an A minor scale. You start on the A string and you count up that many. 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. That's an A major. But if you start on the D string, and then you count up 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, that's also D major. If you start on the G string, and you count up 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, that's G major. If you start a little bit of the way up, now you can use a capo for this as well. I don't have one with me, but if you put a capo on the 2nd fret, now all of a sudden the string will be fretted on B, for example, if it's this string, or E on this one, and then it's like you've just retuned your mandolin, essentially. That's what capos do. They basically make a new note. So it's like always having your finger down here. If you're not allowed to play any notes below that, then you can start on like B or D or whatever, and then you can play B. Sorry, starting in B, you count up 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. There you go. Now you've got a B major scale. So that's what capos are used for. fun fact, I guess. In the meantime, here's minor scales. Now, I love minor scales. They're my favorite ones. That's what some of my favorite songs are in, like Jablochko, A major specifically. That's my absolute favorite. And look, I've heard all the jokes. Fuck off. But I mean, listen, Jablochko, fucking Yuppie Dracula, the Tetris theme song, Korabeniki, that's in A major, or sorry, A minor. So, wait. And then, what was it? So, minor scales, good shit. Where were we? The formula for minor scales is let's see, it's 2 1 2 2 1 2 2. I think. Let me double check. So you start on A, 2 1 2 2 1 2 2. There we go. 2 1 2 2 1 2 2, and that gets you all the way back up to the root note. All good. So 2 1 2 2 1 2 2 2 1 2 2 1 2 2. That one is honestly the hardest one to remember. You might want to write it out. 2 1 2. It's nearly a palindrome. Nearly. If you don't include the root note, then it's a palindrome. Anyway, 2 1 2 2 1. Yeah, I think it's a palindrome. Anyway, basically what that's going to look like is so this one isn't symmetrical, I'll tell you that. Basically, you're only going to want to use, so you take your major scale, which uses number 2, number 4, number 5, number 2, number 4, number 5. You know, the frets. And then instead, you're going to move number 4 back one. So now on both strings, you're going to want to play 0, 2, 3, 5, 0, 2, 3, 5. But then instead of playing 0, 2, 3, 5, 0, 2, 3, 5, you're going to play 0, 2, 3, 5, 0, 1, 3, 5. So it's a little bit confusing. But just watch me hands. Yeah, here we go. Watch me hands and just follow along. All right? That's D, I guess. All right, we'll do D major for this one. And as I said before, that works with all of them. So G minor. Or A minor, my favorite one. I should not have said that like that. Look, don't be fucking making jokes. It's a good key to play in. Fuck off. Anyway. You get the idea. Now, you can go wild with that. Basically, the reason you want to learn keys is because if you play in a key, it'll sound good. So if you only use those frets, if you only use those notes, then all of a sudden you've got a song out of it. You just have to play them in some sort of order. Especially if you play them in that order, up and down and up and down, then you've got yourself a song. And that's the second thing that I want to teach you. Stay in one key and just fuck around. So I guess I'm teaching you three things, kind of, because there's one more thing to come. Anyway, look, if you just stay in those keys, let's stay A major, okay? Watch me hands, and you just solo, just random bullshit, whatever comes to your head. And I'm not saying it'll be good every single time. I'm not saying it'll be the greatest song that you've ever heard. It probably won't be, to be completely honest. It might be a little bit shit, but that's how you get very basic, very nice sort of porch music type songs. You know, you sit on the stoop and you just fuck around and you have a good time of it. And that's how you enjoy your music. If you're just idle, if you want a bit of practice, but you don't want to put all of the drills into it and like running through the really hard songs and running through your scales and all that shit, just solo in one key, whatever comes to your mind, whatever you feel like. You're gonna miss a couple of notes. It's gonna be a bit weird. You might do like you might hit when you're trying to play major, and all of a sudden you've got something fun because now you've mixed the two keys. But like every accident, it's like Bob Ross used to say, there's no accidents. There's no mistakes, just happy little accidents. You can get something out of everything. Just solo and be fluid and sort of try and think on your feet. Now, if you're used to that, if you're used to your keys, then you've probably figured out a couple of songs. Let's take Fairy Tale in New York, for example. Now, in D major, it's... No, wait. You start on the second one, I think. No. Fuck it, I'm going to stop trying to be visible. So... That's not Fairy Tale in New York. What's that? That's Sally McLeman. Oh, here we go. Now, that's how you would normally play it, right? And you can recognize the song and you'd realize that that was Fairy Tale in New York and it's very samey and everybody plays it the same way, right? So there's the other thing I want to teach you. If you want to get fluidity into your playing, if you want to sound natural and fun, and if you want to really understand the music as well and really associate, because like sometimes you'll be playing and you'll be thinking, okay, this note comes next, or like you'll be thinking this fret comes next, and I have to put my finger here, and then I have to play that string, and then it'll make the sound, and then it makes the sound, and it all is good, and then you play a wrong note, and you're like, oh no, that's not it, and you just get distracted. If you're in the middle of playing and you play a wrong note, it's like Victor Wooten. Victor Wooten is an amazing bass player, and he was the one who taught me this. Not personally, obviously, but he was the one I learned this from, which is if you're playing and you play a wrong note, you don't back away from it. You don't stop playing. You don't go, fuck. There's that instant urge to rage and just go, and then start again, but angrier, which is not going to serve anybody, because then you're just going to play angry and then you're going to be bollocks. No. It's like Victor Wooten said. You have to bear down on that note. You have to double down. You have to play around it and kind of move with it. And that's the same for if you play somebody else's songs, something simple like a lot of the Pogue stuff, if you want to play in major, or then a couple of any Russian or Ukrainian folk music. If you want to play in A minor, most, not any, but like most Russian and Ukrainian folk music. If you want to play in A minor, which is my favorite key, and that's why it's my favorite key, because there's so much folk music from that region that I can play with that key. Anyway, if you want to play in those, then yeah, you just start playing other people's music, and as soon as you make a mistake, instead of backing away from it, instead of stopping and starting again, just move around it. So instead of... That's the wrong one again. What is it? like, it doesn't sound exactly like the original song. There's plenty of people who might not recognize that that's the song that you're playing. But fuck, you'll have a lot of fun with it. And that's how you go from that feeling of like, okay, I have to play this string next and this fret, and I play it one time and then move to this one, and I gotta do it in time. Like, that's how you get from that rigidity of like, oh no, I fucked up. And all of a sudden you learn to play around the notes, and it's like, this isn't a fuck up, this is just me doing my own thing. I'm making something original, something that nobody's ever heard before, something that I won't remember, something that nobody may ever hear again. And that's a good thing. Do you know the number? Like, people have asked me, do you think we'll ever run out of music? Because there's only 12 notes in an octave. You can only really play a couple of different octaves in a song, when it comes to melody, at least. At a certain point, you have to reach all the combinations, right? No, man. Do you have any idea how many, and I swear this is not an exaggeration, how many billions upon billions of songs that have never been recorded, never been remembered by the people who played them? They've been played, and then somebody's just forgotten them. Over the course of history, how many do you think there have been? Probably more than we could even fathom. Even with all the billionaires and trillionaires in the world now. Well, there's maybe nearly 1 trillionaire, as far as I know. Anyway, even with all the millionaires and billionaires in the world now, even with all the billions and billions of people, we still can't really fathom that number. There are so many songs that have been played and instantly forgotten, and you can contribute to that. You can come up with hundreds, thousands of those songs, maybe in a week. Okay, maybe not thousands, but you can come up with hundreds in a week if you practice every single day. And that's a good thing, because the more of those songs that you come up with, the more fluid your playing will be. And if you're looking to like do solos or whatever for punk music or for metal or whatever it may be, that's how you do it. So, good job. That's what you want to do, really. One of the things that I always do is Bridges Full of Stitches. I played Bridges Full of Stitches in A major. It's an old Irish. They call it a polka, but I don't think it's a polka. The time signature is off. Anyway, and I can only ever play it like twice, because the thing about Irish music is it's dancing music, so it always just loops. It's a jig or a reel or some bullshit. Anyway, I can only play it like twice, and then my hands just forget what I'm doing. So instead of stopping and trying to get it right, you just work around it. Like, watch. I promise you, I'm actually gonna fuck up. This is not staged. You have seen me play. I'm not a good player. I promise you, I'm actually gonna fuck up during this, and it's gonna be a good thing. Go. Happened even quicker than I thought it would. And that is how you come up with original ideas. You play on shit. You get used to it. You get used to your instrument. Sorry, I only half finished that thought from earlier. Listen, you'll be playing and you'll be like, this note comes next and I have to play this note and this and this and this. And that's how I started off playing Bridges Full of Stitches. It was... And it's like, that's how it has to be. This note, then this note, then this note, then this note. But as you get used to it, instead of playing this note and this note and this note and this note, you start just hearing the music in your head. This is what I kept forgetting to say. I've tried to explain this like 3 times and kept forgetting to make this point. Anyway, you start hearing the music in your head, and then your hands just do it. It's weird. It's hard to describe. But you know the way some people can just pick up a guitar, and it's always with guitar, isn't it? Everybody plays guitar. But like somebody can just pick up a guitar and they'll bang out a tune, something completely original off the top of their heads. They don't know what they're doing. Or like if you have music in your head and you've just started playing something and it takes you a while, you're like, no, it's more like... And and you have to like balance around it and try to find the right notes. That's how you stop that. You hear the music and your hands just do it. They just do it. They instantly translate it. And as you can see, I'm not very good at that. I'm still practicing. I've only been doing this about a year. But yourself, you could be. You could get very, very good at that. All you got to do is practice. Anyway, I hope that was some help to you. And I hope some people other than mandolinists are watching this. Because, like, I feel like I can help more than just mandolinists out. But also, play mandolin. It's a good instrument. Love mandolin. Yeah, hope you have a good day.